It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you think so far. He meddled in things. He meddled in things.
Where will we go next? This phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Muller.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
My name is Alex Kaiju. Across from me,
Eli Watson.
and to my left,
Steffen Myers.
and we are
Cryptid Campfire.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're on a raft somewhere in, I think, the Atlantic Ocean.
Why does it have to be the Atlantic, huh? Just because we talked about Atlantis?
Yeah.
Huh? I think that's very, what is that, speciesist? I don't
Oh,
know.
I was gonna say because that
That's pretty
segues.
oceanist of you, dude.
I mean, actually, because that segues into our next topic of the day,
I guess.
the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh,
That-
yeah, I
in
guess.
the Atlantic Ocean.
I
I
guess
thought
that
you
makes
got
sense.
that. I mean, that's funny.
No, I didn't.
I-
I was actually like, why did you choose the Atlantic? But now that makes sense.
Yeah, especially because I didn't know how close the Bermuda Triangle was to America.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I never
I-
really looked it up.
It's
What?
I never knew where. I
No,
always thought it
just
was.
saw a meme that was talking about my standpoint in my life where when I was a kid, I thought I would have to deal with the Bermuda Triangle a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
Because I always, I grew up watching those like History Channel documentaries,
Yeah.
and they're like in your face, like, don't go in the Bermuda Triangle, you will disappear.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, like I can't, like what's gonna happen? And it turns out
very
I've never
foreboding.
even been anywhere near it.
Sensationalism for you.
Well, that's what's crazy is it's close to us because it's like right in Florida.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But still, Florida's kind of far away, so you're just like it's like
Don't
rocks.
start a cruise in Miami.
Never go to Miami. But yeah, so the Bermuda Triangle. Let's dive into
Yeah.
this bad boy. Jazz
Well,
is not with us today. She hitched a ride with a ghost ship.
Yeah.
Went to go find some Starbucks, and the last thing I heard them say was, "You best start believing in cryptozoology podcast, cause you're in one."
Okay.
Don't
Well-
dance with the captain.
Did you guys get any other names for the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
got the Devil's Triangle.
Whoa.
And I got Hurricane Alley, dude.
Hurricane,
Whoa.
where Hurricane Heineck dwells.
That's where it resides, dude.
One year there was gonna be a hurricane, and they'll have to call it Heineck.
Can you imagine?
They have to pay a lot of royalties to the Heineck name.
Yeah, for his college career. But, so, like Alex was talking about earlier about how the Bermuda Triangle is, like, just off the coast of Florida, with Miami being one of the triangle points. So the other two are
San Juan?
San Juan, Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
And
Bermuda.
Bermuda. Where are my notes at?
That's okay.
They got
Yeah.
sucked into the hole.
Yeah,
I lost him in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
So that's where the name comes from, is the island, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
island.
those
The
3
islands.
points,
Mhm.
Bermuda, San Juan, and Miami, those make up the the triangle, the trifecta of terror.
Yeah.
Did anybody look at the angle? Is it an obtuse, a right, or an acute angle?
Perpendicular.
I think it's isosceles. What's the one? A perfect triangle. It's not a perfect triangle though. Anyways,
I know there's like a weird name for it, but yeah, because it's not just triangle. That's just the subgroup.
all right. So we have this triangle, and when did these reports? Why do we think it's a scary place?
Well, I think that has to do with a guy named Vincent Gaddis.
Vincent Gaddis?
Yeah.
Tell us about him.
So Vincent Gaddis, he was a writer. He wrote for a lot of men's pulp magazines
Interesting.
in the 60s, I think 50s, 60s. And so he put out an article called, I think just the Bermuda Triangle. And it was about the area to where some ships had reportedly gone missing. And
Yeah.
he pushed it off as like the end all, like, stay away from this area. It's a real life cursed area for an exciting story in like a magazine.
Really?
Yeah. He was the first one, I think, to like say it was like the triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
I think
He came up with
coined
that.
with that name because up to that point it was always just like, oh, this is this area,
Yeah, so-
this radius area, maybe the San Juan radius or whatever, based
Yeah.
on the area. And then he was like, "Oh, it's Bermuda Triangle. Oh, a few ships have reportedly gone missing. Bermuda Triangle. That sounds like stay away from this angular, scary area."
Yeah, he came up with those vertices.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
like San Juan and Miami.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
That is pretty wild.
So it's a fairly new concept, the Bermuda Triangle name,
Yeah.
because as I think we'll go into it, it spans from before, like, you know, history, American history sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's where we get that idea of calling it the Bermuda Triangle, like the axis of stay away from.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But I had something before Gaddis.
Mm-hmm.
There was someone before Gaddis.
There was a
who's
few.
telling us
But I
about
think
the
the main
Bermuda
one,
Triangle.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got George Sand. Did you get this?
No.
Yeah, there was a guy named George Sand who wrote about it in '52
Oh.
for a magazine called Fate, and he created the boundary, but Gaddis came up with he pinpointed it.
Okay.
But, like Gaddis had already like come up with that little boundary over there, because there was some U.S. Navy bombers, like 5 guys on a training mission over there that disappeared, and that's what the article's about.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
the article's called "Sea Mystery at Our Back Door."
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so Gaddy's just repackaged it.
Yeah, he straight up came up with those points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that guy did in the 50s.
No, he came up with that general area, but it was Gaddis who
that
came up with
okay, so
the actual points.
Yeah, so
he created it.
interesting. Oh, that's cool. So he took just a general 5 guys went missing, this sea mystery. Where'd they go? And he's like, oh, if I pinpoint here, 10 years later, he pinpointed it. He's like, oh, Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, because
And
there
everyone's
was
whoa,
a few
that's cool.
instances, reports during that time. There was one in 1950 that I couldn't find any really details on, but that happened before George Sand. Somebody else wrote about it.
Oh.
So there were already a few things going around in that area, and people just latched onto it,
Yeah,
Huh.
that's cool.
That is cool.
That's like a fistful of dollars. It's just a repackaging of Yojimbo.
Oh, I see what you're
You
saying.
take a samurai movie, it's about a guy playing both sides. It's really cool, and you kind of take it and you're like, well, I'll make it more generalized, more like American Wild West cowboys, It's that way. It's less of samurais, nobody really knows how much about the feudal Japan. But everyone knows about cowboys. They got cows, they got boys, And it's just, you rename it, and you throw a little couple extra things, like the cool loud gun sound effects, and you throw Clint Eastwood in there, and everyone knows Fistful of Dollars. And then a certain kind of people know Yojimbo if you know movies and stuff.
Yeah.
What you got, Eli?
All right, so this is what I got. So, an Edgar Case, who we've actually talked about on the show. I just can't remember what episode. This is he's also known as the Sleeping Prophet. He was a clairvoyant guy who said he could receive transmissions while he was sleeping. We talked about him before, and I said we should do an episode. I have a feeling it was in a Blue Book case because he said a lot of stuff about aliens.
Okay.
Oh, I was waiting for what the hook was.
Yeah, the aliens. But he
weirdo.
also said some stuff about Atlantis. So this is where he he said that Atlantis would be discovered in 1968. And then, although we didn't discover Atlantis, in the Bermuda Triangle, we found Bimini Road.
Yeah.
We found an actual little underground road.
Yeah, or what appears to be one, because
It looks like a big kind of rocky Roman road a little bit with the interlocked.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, there it is, baby.
Atlantean.
The front porch of Atlantis.
the front porch. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty... For just throwing out a date, I'm assuming, is what he did. But for throwing one out there about the discovery of something underwater...
Not too far off.
In
No,
the
that's
60s,
pretty wild,
Yeah,
So-
just pulled it out of his butt, and it was true.
So, yeah.
But what's the actual road? Is that a real road underground?
No,
or
it's just like this rock formation.
just naturally
It's a
formed?
natural rock formation, but like you were saying, the rocks are interlinked, so they almost look like they were put there in a certain way.
Yeah, wait, they aren't Atlantean technologies?
No, they're not Atlantean technologies.
It's not the Atlantean crystal
Gungans,
towers
dude.
they had.
It's the Gungans.
The planet core.
So it's like, these underwater rocks made from natural forces, and people think, and people still choose to think that it is something that is constructed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think so.
Yeah, it was like when we talked about Atlantis and that guy found part of that temple, like in the water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he
the
just
same
kept
thing.
saying it was Atlantis. Yeah.
It's like obviously just like
Like, it's
boulders, but he like said
It's a
it was
it's
like
a one room.
it's a temple that pinpoints the location to Atlantis.
It's like a tiny little shack underwater. It's like all dungy and
It's
distant.
like a hermit in there.
A hermit crab.
But I also have this, and this is, I think this predates Gaddis by a few years, because this is an article from, what is it called? The Miami Herald.
Okay.
And the
That's a staple.
is it? I don't know.
I feel like I've heard of that newspaper
The
before.
Miami Herald.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's one of the bigger
probably.
ones.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, it's like they're like LA Times.
Yeah, or like
Okay.
New York Times,
You know,
like Wall
that's
Street
like their
Journal, that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
You
All right.
know the name. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
It's a big one.
Well, this article was published September 17th, 1950. And I think I have the first couple of sentences here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like the first rumblings of something spooky
That's
going
what I was
on.
talking about before George Sands. That's the
Yeah.
article, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really like the way it starts off, and I think you're gonna like it too, Alex. But here we go. It's a small world? No. It's still the same vast globe the ancients knew, with the same misty limbo of the lost. We think it is small because of spreading wheels and wings, and the voice of radio which comes out of the void. A mile is only a minute's travel by wheel, or a few seconds of flight, but it is still a mile. The miles... Hold on. It's so wild.
Waxing poetic.
Oh man.
The miles add up to a vast unknown, into which 100 and more persons have flown or sailed within brief memory, to be swallowed up just as ships were swallowed in the old sailing days. That's
Whoa.
like the opening of the article.
Wow.
And
hooked.
it just talks about like a bunch of ships that have gone missing in
Yeah.
this vicinity.
It's a small little filler piece that's like, hey, we got a slow news day. Talk about that ships, these old reports some guy found in town hall. And he's like, okay, and then he wastes one of the greatest crafted openings of all time on a filler fluff piece. Cause like that was awesome. That's
I know, right?
that's like the quote you see, like a Lord of the Rings epic high fantasy, like something with class. That's like the opening crawl that you see.
That
To
sounds
set
like
the
a
tone.
presidential speech,
Like,
dude.
it sounds like the beginning of a noir film or
It's
something.
just something
like-
with like grit. With it's got meaning.
It's so
and,
graceful, too.
and it's wasted on a fluff
It
piece.
flows.
And also, people are gonna discover that quote. Watch this year, someone's gonna discover it. Who's like a screenwriter? Who's like, that's gonna be really cool in the next movie I write, man. And it's gonna be wasted on Hobbs and Shaw 2.
Hobbs and Shaw. Chinny sauce,
Imagine
minny sauce.
Hobbs and Shaw 2 starts with a quote like that,
Oh my.
and then it's because it's got wheels in the title that they're like, that's how they justify using it in a Fast and Furious spinoff.
It just pans down, and The Rock and Jason Statham are like in cars, like revving up, like 1 mile, let's go.
1 mile, 1 minute. A mile, still a mile, and you're like,
Enjoy the
no. This is the death of cinema.
Let's just enjoy the ride.
So what else did you guys get?
I got into some of the criticisms in the 70s.
Oh,
Did you get anything? like,
I
in
got
between?
some missing peoples. I don't know if we want to go into that right now.
Sure, might as well.
Yeah. What
Do that
makes
first.
this thing so scary?
Yeah. What makes the Bermuda Triangle like? What the who?
Who the what's up?
So, I just got like 2 or 3 pretty significant ones, but there's like a bunch of people who have gone missing under similarly strange circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So this one comes from the 1880s,
Ooh.
and it's about a ship named the Ellen Austin.
Yeah, I read about
Yeah.
this one.
And it supposedly, while traveling through the Bermuda Triangle, came across a derelict ship, basically meaning, derelict kind of means that you captured the ship,
Mm-hmm.
but this one was just floating with no crew on it,
Mhm.
so it's just already kind of a ghost ship. And they put a prize crew on board
Mm-hmm.
and attempted to sail back to New York with it.
It was a free boat, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1881. So, and as the story goes, the ship, the derelict one, disappeared and reappeared without the crew that they had placed on board it.
Yeah.
Not only that, they put a second prize crew on board, and then it disappeared again, but this time didn't return.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pretty nuts.
That's wild.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty nutso.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Like you find a ship, you're like, hey, sweet, free, it's free real estate.
Yeah, and that's before that first. That's like a century before.
Yeah,
the first
1881.
article.
And so you're like, all right, put the the best guys to get it back to the port, the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just don't hear from them, and then they find the boat again without them.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, and they put more people on to like get this back.
Well, I'm glad we don't get a third try. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's crazy.
They'd run out of people.
It just and then it just disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the stories. The next one's a little bit of a time jump. So I think this is like 1918. So.
Oh, is this?
Still pretty early.
This is about the USS Cyclops.
Yeah, this one's cool too.
Yeah.
Or kind of weird cool.
Yeah. Oh wait, so I have. Oh yes, I have another one too. All right, cool. So the USS Cyclops is the single largest loss of life in the history of the U.S. Navy that's not related to combat.
That's crazy.
Which is insane.
That's so crazy to think
And no
about.
one really knows about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know,
yeah.
dude. It's just nuts, bro.
Selective hearing, dude.
So the U.S. Well, I'll tell you what it is. I'm about to get semi-political here because I took a course that made me learn this, but America does not like to show itself in a bad light. So like if you're trying to make a movie that has the military in it, if America isn't winning in that movie, they're not going to let you use their jeeps
That's right.
and their helicopters. You have to be casting them in a good light. So that's probably why they don't like us talking about the USS Cyclops. Not that they're going to come assassinate us or anything,
No,
but
but
that
like,
it's just like
they won't give anybody the rights or anything,
no,
right?
because
Yeah, I mean, you think about that's always been, I think, the forefront is like in whatever media is how they portray themselves. Because you look at like the World War II posters, and it's just like Uncle Sam. He's like big buff arms.
Yeah.
He's just like, if you're with Hitler, you're a loser.
yeah.
And you're like, America's pretty cool. Like, and then you see the movies tour at the end. Like an alien movie or a monster movie. And nobody can defeat it till the military shows up with their big old guns and they gun it down to death.
The military can do it all.
And then if
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
tried to do a movie towards like, well, the military loses and they get eaten up, and they're like, oh, hey, this script we're not down, so we're not going to let you use our licensed material. And the only thing else you can have is a pickup truck with like a star painted on it awkwardly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
You just gotta
but
make up your own military uniform and make them not American U.S. military.
nobody can do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So they got
Yeah.
the monopoly
Well,
on the
and so-
Jeeps.
and that's probably because the USS Cyclops wasn't a defeat per se, but it is a blunder,
Oh, it's weird.
and so they probably don't like, the
Yeah,
reason
'cause-
we haven't heard about it is because it's showing a weakness. But to the story here, so we have the USS Cyclops, and this is a pretty big military ship, one of 4 of its kind actually. And it was carrying a full load of manganese ore, which is like a transitional metal, and
It's just a big cargo ship that can hold like a lot of it was
Stuff.
for coal and
Coal
like
and
supplies
stuff,
and
yeah.
stuff. Like it's crazy how big it was.
But at the time before it disappeared, it had one engine out of action. So it had a crew of 309 people and was seen departing from March 4th from Barbados, and it was headed towards Baltimore, Maryland. That was the destination. And it just kind of disappeared. Like that was it. And just no one really knows. I mean, there's a storm that swept through the area a couple days later, but nobody's really sure like what happened. That's the mystery, dude. It's pretty wild.
And that's why you don't know about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just like, hey, we sent out one of our best ships to pick up some really good supplies, and we don't know what happened to it.
Yeah. And
Oh, gee.
on top of that, too, the 2 sister ships. So one of the sister ships was destroyed. Like I said, it was 4 of a kind. Or yeah, 4 of a kind.
One of
Yeah.
four.
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
4.
So the Cyclops goes missing, but years before this, the first ship I think is destroyed in combat, and they had to like evacuate everyone off. It was like pretty heroic way to go out. Then the Cyclops goes missing. Then 2 sister ships, the Proteus and the Nereus, they disappear, in the North Atlantic during World War II, which is pretty wild. So, like, all of these ships,
They're cursed.
They're gone.
they just disappeared, except for one of them, which blew up. Well, I mean, it is gone, but
Yeah, they're
we know
all
what
gone
happened
in
to it.
different ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
And cool names, too.
Yeah, dude.
Like, those are some badass names. That's like what you call, like, a Jaeger.
Yeah. So, check it. So people started doing an investigation into the crew to kind of figure out maybe what happened. The year is 1918, in the beginning of the year, so we're still in World War I. And they found that the captain of the Cyclops was Lieutenant Commander George Worley, but that wasn't his real name. His real name was Johann Friedrich Wickman, and he was born in Germany. And he had immigrated to America by jumping ship at San Francisco, and he owned like a saloon there.
Oh.
And he convinced his German brothers, like his biological brothers, to come over as well. There's rumors that he was like transporting opium from like China to San Francisco back in the day, dude.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. On top of that, he was commissioned as lieutenant commander in February 1917, a whole year before his ship disappeared. So he wasn't like lieutenant commander for very long. But according to former crew members, he would like berate them and like scream at them for like little stuff. One of them was that he chased an ensign around the ship with a pistol.
Oh my.
Was like trying to shoot him. But like I guess on his regular days, he made his rounds on the ship in nothing but his underwear and a derby hat.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know.
What in the heck?
Dude, it gets crazier.
What is this?
So check it. In Rio de Janeiro, which is where they were before they stopped at that one port in Barbados. Before they stopped in Barbados, this is where they picked up the ore. And he just made someone in charge who shouldn't have been in charge. So it led to the ship being overfilled because the ore, the metal is heavier than coal.
Yeah.
And so it takes up less space. So they just kept filling it.
Oh, no.
So they were overloaded. Their engine was down. And then a storm swept through. So
Done for.
everyone's like, it probably sank, but we just can't find it. And that's
Its homing beacon got activated and it sailed down back to Atlantis, dude.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. He was a German from Atlantis.
well, he might have been working with the Germans in World War I, dude.
No, that's what I'm thinking. He's a
Because-
German
Did
spy.
he take the ship back to Germany instead?
Well, get this. So, Worley's only friends were either Germans or German descent Americans, like Americans of German descent. Sorry, and they
Probably needs to get out more.
say he may have colluded with Germany in the war, and they actually thought that he might have met with them there and handed over the ship to the Germans.
Okay.
And just went back to Germany with them.
Collusion.
But yeah, they thought he was colluding with them. But after World War I, the German records were checked, looking for any mention of the Cyclops, and there was none.
Maybe they named it like the U.S. like Hydrick or something.
The Utennakendagen. Something that just means
Frederick.
like, just means the eye is Alpendaken Hakendogen.
I mean, I don't know, dude.
That's pretty nuts, though.
Wow, that's
It's very. I mean, they could easily name it something else.
There
right?
are so many twists in the story, and now we don't know what happened.
But like somewhere, some mention of Cyclops would have been, you know.
Yeah, or just hey, so what was his name? Wartenhagen.
But it's so weird to
He
think
just
that, like,
came
put
back into
yourself in their
town after
shoes.
being gone from America for like 10 years. And he has a whole pocket full of ore. Wow, what a sight.
Like,
Yeah, dude, it's
like, put
pretty
yourself
wild.
in their shoes, though.
Whose shoes?
The people on the ship. It's so crazy to think
Oh, yeah.
about.
Oh yeah, he's just
309
walking on
people.
his underwear.
Yeah.
Like being like, get this ship more ship shape.
And like we nobody knows what happened to him, which is just insane.
Tragic.
He later grew. He actually went back to Germany. And later grew a tiny little mustache.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Ugh,
It was Hitler the whole time.
the ages don't line up, dude. I also have another one here about Flight 19.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Remember I mentioned that?
You may have.
right before for George Sands. He wrote the article about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I didn't go into detail,
Oh, okay.
but it's the 5 Navy bombers, right?
Group of 5 Grumman TBM Avenger torpedo bombers.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Yeah, well,
They're also known as the Avengers, I think, right?
no.
Oh.
They disappeared over the Bermuda Triangle on December 5th, 1945. Wow. After losing contact with the U.S. Navy over, like, they were doing a training flight. So I have the whole story here.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm
Because
doing.
they have like a transmission, right?
Yeah. So it's all 14 airmen were lost, and they have not been, like, found.
Mm-hmm.
So the flight leader was a U.S. Navy Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor. Sorry, I thought that was his last. Charles Carroll Taylor. And he had like 2,500 flying hours, completed combat tour in the Pacific Theater as a torpedo bomber pilot.
Oh, dang, the guy's legit.
Mm-hmm. And so, like...
So like negligence can't be a thing, right?
No. Like, it's another one of those, like, Project Blue Book things
Exactly.
where, like,
they're like
the
so
pilot...
trained for it, but things go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
So
so...
they see something they don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. So all of the aircraft, all 5 of them, all the torpedo bombers were fueled completely before takeoff, but pre-flight checks revealed that all of the planes were missing their clocks, which is like the first thing that was weird about it. But they were like, well, it's just a training exercise, and besides, these guys probably have watches of their own. So they just let it slide.
That's victim blaming.
Yeah. Turns out they didn't really need it, but
Yeah.
somebody
We'll
should.
get there eventually.
Their hubcaps were taken off too.
So they were scheduled to take off at like, what is it, 13:50 or something, some weird time. I think 13:45 or something.
Like almost 2 p.m.
Yeah. And somebody showed up late, and they had to delay the flight for 25 minutes. So, but then he showed up, and then they took off. And so they were supposed to make 3 stops, just, just make a little triangle. They're leaving Fort Lauderdale to add to the background.
This was a training exercise, you
Training
said?
exercise.
Okay.
They're going to drop some bombs real quick and then come back.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
So it's pretty straightforward because you only have to make like 3 left turns, and then you're back. So it's kind of weird that this happened.
Is that easy? Like just 3 left turns? Like.
Oh yeah, like you're chilling.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
You're
figured
like,
I don't know.
yeah, you take a
Yeah.
left and then you go straight. Go to that next point. Take a left. You go. It's like right back home, dude.
Yeah.
Mark it in your log.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
like pilot wings.
But yeah, that's what's so like.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that all this happens to like seasoned pilots.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like newbies who like don't know how to fly. They they know what they're doing.
It's basically like
Yeah.
they're going to target practice. They're like,
yeah,
all right.
it's like
So after they get... So basically a radio transmission is all we have from this to kind of piece together what may have happened.
yeah.
So they get their transmission, permission to drop that last bomb. They're like, go ahead. They drop it. They're flying, and they make their left turn. And 40 minutes after they get that last transmission, they get another one from somebody who they couldn't identify over the radio. And he says he's asking for a compass reading, to which somebody says, I don't know where we are. We must have gotten lost after that last turn. So we have somebody responding back saying, can you identify yourself? And they identify themselves as the flight leader, Taylor, Lieutenant Taylor. And
It's like Red 5 standing by.
Yeah.
no, he says, they ask him to identify himself. He says, Taylor. They're like, what's wrong? He says, both of my compasses are out, and I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm overland, but it's broken. I'm sure I'm in the Keys, west, but I don't know how far down, and I don't know how to get to Fort Lauderdale. And they keep trying to give him directions over the radio, and none of them are acknowledged.
Weird.
And because they're like trying to figure out where he is too, and he just keeps like not really responding. And sometimes he'll say, oh, we need to keep going west. We're gonna go west for the next 45 minutes.
Whoa.
Like just like weird.
Because do you know how long the training exercise was supposed to be?
I mean, it literally took them less than an hour to be on their return flight. So
Yeah.
They can't have gone that far.
no.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. To be like, we're going to go west for another, like, 45 minutes? That's a long time if...
Well, 3 hours. They were up in the air for at least 3 more hours because after they got that report or that transmission, they get about the compasses being broken. They get their last transmission from Taylor, and he says, all planes close up tight. We'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together.
Whoa, that's intense.
And just what was happening? I just don't get it,
like,
dude.
what? Just 3 hours? Like,
Yeah.
for a simple 2-hour training exercise?
Must have been drinking salt water, dude.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. And then what's even crazier is that they sent out the PBM Mariner. I think this was a ship. And they sent it out with a 13-man crew to find Flight 19, but it also disappeared.
Yeah.
The search team went missing.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
so that was a boat, right? You said?
Yeah, the PBM Mariner. Also, I think another non-military vehicle was on the water kind of trying to help look around as best as they could. And they said that they saw fire, like an oil spill in the water had caught in fire.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but again, we don't really know. That's the only report of that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, especially because the guy said they'd have to ditch if
Yeah,
they hit landfall. So
Yeah.
just fly out of the plane, like I would assume pull the emergency
Yeah,
seat,
yeah.
and just let the plane crash and burn.
Yeah.
So that's crazy if maybe they were like trying to get to land and.
Well, I don't
It
know.
doesn't explain their behavior.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just like weird behavior.
Very strange, especially because you just get the audio transmissions. That's all you're getting at like sporadic times. What a crazy thing to get.
So maybe they just couldn't hear.
Yeah,
And they were just like
maybe.
yelling what they were gonna do,
Yeah.
right? Because you said that he never responded to them, but he'd
Yeah.
be like, "We're gonna go west more."
Yeah.
Oh, what if they were shouting at each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just couldn't hear.
Yeah. I don't know. It was pretty wild.
Crazy story.
I also dug this up on history.com. Christopher Columbus.
Oh, Christopher
Also-
Columbo himself.
Yeah, he did sail through the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about
1492, right?
1492.
1942.
Yeah.
Oh,
I keep messing it up. I keep doing it every time. So
I
I'm
saw
like
you
trying
think about it, dude,
desperately
yeah.
to avoid.
I saw you stop.
So Chris Columbus, we already talked about what he saw, the USO that he supposedly saw, but
like
this
a
is
candle, right?
yeah, but History Channel or History.com says the flame was actually as a result of a meteor hitting an island.
That little boat that's like tagging along is like, oh, something's on fire.
I just think it's interesting because like where did they also say it's a USO? So which one is it? History.com.
Yeah, especially because they. I think when we talked about like, oh, they looked like we thought maybe it was a candle, like moving up and down.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, maybe it was like a phantom, a floating island or something.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, actually, he saw a straight fire. He saw a meteorite coming out of the ground. It had a tail. It hit. Maybe like Men in Black, where the meteorites always hit, and there's like a small little explosion. They're like, wow, look at that thing floating over there. It just explodes in the background.
So Ivan Sanderson, a famous cryptozoologist that we have talked about. Sorry.
Branches?
He's a very famous cryptid itself.
Yeah. So Ivan T. Sanderson, he had these 12 points across the globe called the 12 vortices or the vile vortex. You know,
The vile vortex?
the vile vortex. And there's 12 vile vortexes.
It's like a series of unfortunate events book.
That's where like Dr. Doom lives.
12 of them, you said?
12 of them, and the Bermuda Triangle is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was kind of cool.
Vile vortex.
Yeah, I've been wanting to kind of cover these for a while.
What year was
but,
that?
Let's see.
Oh, you didn't say?
Well, no, I don't know when he published his book.
That's okay.
Probably sometime in the 50s, I would think. Let's see.
Late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, I don't know, somewhere in there, I think. But yeah, so there's Bermuda Triangle is one of them. We have the Algerian megaliths in North Africa.
Oh, that's a scary name too.
Oh, yeah.
The Indus Valley in Pakistan. the Devil's Sea in south of Japan. So like that's equivalent to the Bermuda Triangle over there. The Hamakulia volcano, which is east of Hawaii.
Oh, that's where the final boss is.
Yeah, the South Atlantic anomaly, that's east of Rio de Janeiro. I don't know, that sounds cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why is the Bermuda Triangle like the popular one? If there's 12 of them.
I don't know. Wait.
That American printing press made it
Yeah,
famous.
sensationalism.
I was gonna
at its
say,
finest.
it's like, hey guys, did you hear about the Bermuda Triangle? Oh, that sounds kind of scary. Some ships went missing. Oh wow, I'm glad that's the only area. Well, actually, there's 12 of them. There's one called the Black Sea. There's
They're
one
just
called.
more terrifying than the last.
One of them was what the anomaly.
The South Atlantic anomaly.
Yeah, that sounds scary.
Yeah.
One of them's just called like "Skin Your Face Off Alive" Alley. You know, you're like, ooh, that's way scarier. And that sound like a. It's gotta be a video game that uses that as like the areas you have to travel to fight bosses.
It's not, dude.
Our video game.
Right
The
now.
Cryptid Campfire video game. Save the
Yeah,
world,
dude.
save the Bigfoot.
But wait, did you want me to finish the list?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
Okay.
I'm about halfway through it and it's just so scary.
Yeah, so we also have Great Zimbabwe Mines and Structures. I'm not sure what that means, but that kind of brings up some cool like Temple of Doom vibes.
Yeah,
so they're not
basically.
all in the ocean.
No.
Oh, very
No,
cool.
that one was like a volcano.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have the Wharton Basin.
Ooh.
Not sure where that's at. But Loyalty Islands.
Ooh.
Sounds nice.
That's like where all
That's not
the
too bad.
No, that's like where all the henchmen live.
Okay.
Loyalty Islands.
You gotta get that. You gotta fight the boss of what was the place?
What are you talking about?
What is that? What's this island called? Paradise Islands.
Loyalty Islands.
You gotta fight the warden of Loyalty Islands to get the key card to get up to
Yeah.
the mining area because it's like a big prison.
We also have the Easter Island megaliths.
Ooh,
Okay.
yeah.
Ooh, those are cool.
That's like the starting point of the game.
Yeah.
That one's pretty popular.
Everyone knows that. And it's kind of safe because it's just the talking heads and they give you the items you need to go on your quest.
David Byrne comes out from behind.
With a big suit on.
But the last two are pretty lame. It's the North and the South Pole.
Oh, that's okay. That's like
Yeah.
level
Maybe you should have
2.
started with those, dude.
I don't know.
Well,
dude.
that's level 2 because it's like, oh, the South and North Pole. What is this? You fight Santa, but you
Yeah.
get up there and there's like the Yob Shogoth up there. There's abominable snowman like guarding the time crystals that you have to get before you drop down into the volcano. So it's kind of cool.
The time crystals. This is just the lore spawning off of this. Yeah. I have one more guy who may have disappeared in the Bermuda.
Oh.
Do you have one?
No, I'm sorry. Going back to the lore of the video game. That's how the final boss got to Earth. He was in that meteorite that crashed in the Bermuda Triangle.
Wait, the video game we were talking about, the 12 vortices?
12
Yeah, the 12
Yeah.
vortices.
Dude, sick.
It's an alien. He's an alien from an alien overlord who crashed down on Earth, and it slowly integrated himself into the vile vortexes.
Dude, you're creating a whole video game for these people. Someone's gonna steal it.
Patent it now, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
these are
right.
just the rough ideas. This is before we refine them and get them a little more up to snuff.
Yeah, right.
There's a pretty good amount of disappearance stories, right?
No, yeah,
Yeah.
but this one I also thought was pretty wild as well, and of a significant kind of person. His name was Joshua Slocum. He was an American seaman and adventurer, and he was the first man to sail around the world single-handedly. So he did it by himself.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And he wrote about his journey in his book, Sailing Alone Around the World, which I actually want to read. I'm like, well, how come I've never heard of this guy?
Yeah, that
He's
sounds like that'd be a good. That should be the follow-up to the Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Just Willem Dafoe by himself on a ship going around the world
Oh, man, dude.
in black and white and 6x12.
He did it in his boat called Spray, which was an oyster boat. An oyster boat, yeah. And it took him a little over 3 years, and he finished in 1898. A full 100 years before I was born.
That's a pretty big level of commitment.
3 years just by yourself on like a clunky little oyster boat going
Yeah,
just
I'm sure
in the
he
middle.
stopped places, though. But
Probably
like,
for supplies, but probably just briefly because
Yeah.
he's like, I want to get this over with.
it's insane, dude. Well, so after he did all that, it was 1909, November 14th, and he's like, I want to go on another adventure, dude. And he sets forth, like, through to the West Indies.
Mm-hmm.
and he wanted to check out the Amazon rivers. That's where he said he wanted to go. And then
Meet
he
up
was
with an
never
old
heard of.
military friend, Colonel Kurtz.
Yeah, and he was never heard from again.
Ooh.
And that was it. He also, interesting note, he never learned how to swim, despite being an experienced mariner. He considered learning how to swim to be useless.
He's like, I got my boat.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's like, how would you ever think that?
I just picture Willem Dafoe as like a Crush Shield sea captain. You don't know how to swim? Don't you think that's important? Swimming's useless if you got a boat. You just imagine Willem Dafoe.
I see it, dude.
But there's also that theory that Amelia Earhart went through and disappeared.
Right? But I thought she disappeared in the Pacific.
Well, don't you know that the Bermuda Triangle can teleport sometimes?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, because she went. They said she was going, flying across the equator.
Which she was.
Exactly. Yeah, but didn't she start out in the Atlantic?
Yeah.
Because the equator goes, across the world?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah. I thought she started in, like, New York or whatever.
Yeah.
And then disappeared over the Pacific Ocean.
I don't know, dude.
Like
There
on
is
her-
that. I was just saying it's
I
a
don't
theory.
know. Hold on.
Oh.
I'm just
What if she was over the Black Sea? Because that's in the Pacific Ocean, right?
What are you talking about?
Huh?
The Black Sea is, like, in the Middle East, bro.
Oh. I thought you said it was, like, in the Japanese waters.
That's the Devil's Sea.
Oh, there's
Black
the Black
Sea.
Sea and the Devil Sea. Oh, darn.
They're different.
We got to differentiate them a little bit. One of them's called the Black Sea, and the other one's called Satan's Swimming Hole.
Yeah. But I was reading that a lot of people think.
Yeah, she disappeared over the Central Pacific Ocean.
Oh yeah, is that what your phone tells you, dude?
Yeah.
Siri,
Oh, wow.
activate.
What am I supposed to say
You're
to
gonna
that?
believe your telephone, dude?
Siri,
Your telephone's telling
activate
you
kill
lies.
mode. Oh no, it's in my brain.
She's the queen of Atlantis now. No, but I was reading that a lot of people think the Bermuda Triangle is just like a prime spot for people to be abducted by UFOs.
By UFOs, huh?
Yeah.
Or Usos?
USOs?
Both?
People are getting abducted downwards. Instead of, like, you know, you have that guy who's, like, sleeping in his boat, but instead of floating up, he just gets sucked down.
Yeah. And
Like Nightmare on Elm Street, dude in the bed.
yeah. Or, because they always, have the farmhouse with the UFOs when they abduct farmers in the pictures. So it's just like you said, a USO underneath. But it, like, pulls the guy through the boat, through
my
each floor. And then, like, the boat sinks, too.
Yeah.
But, did you guys get anything on... Because they have, like, the supernatural theories, but there's also, like, natural causes as to why people, like, disappear in the Bermuda.
Yeah, I think the most natural might be the giant whirlpool in the middle of the triangle.
Yeah, with the big sign that says, avoid,
Yeah.
Don't come here.
post no bills.
No, but tell us some of these.
No, I know. I mean, most of them, a couple of them are just like currents and storms, like.
Well, because there's that underwater river there, right?
Yeah.
Which is
It's
pretty wild.
Gulf Stream, right?
The
Is
Gulf
that what you're
Stream, yeah.
Yeah.
It actually leads to what, like, unpredictable weather, right?
Yeah, but that current is very strong.
Yeah, people are like
And
swept
there's like
away.
pretty bad storms over there too.
Yeah.
And what about the, I know it has really deep trenches, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys got that. I guess Bermuda Triangle has some of the deepest trenches in the world.
Wow.
Wow.
Because it just, like,
Has it got any coral reefs, dude?
whoa. Because you know how, land, and then when it gets to ocean, it starts sloping, and you kind of get deeper, but it's usually gradual.
Sure. So just like a drop off.
Yeah, it goes from slope to just like
Wow.
a straight drop, and it's like
Yeah.
they go up to like 15,000 feet deep,
Oh my,
and it just and then they go whoop right back up.
that's crazy.
So maybe Atlantis is down there using its crystal powers to shoot down ships and planes, as the
Yeah.
theory suggests.
There's also a lot of people say their compasses go wacko when they go over there.
Yeah, well, I mean, we witnessed this too. I mean, with the flight people.
Yeah,
The
they're like,
Flight
I got 2
19.
compasses. They're not working.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they talk about how like magnetic north like changes like a pretty good amount, and people don't really take that into account.
Yeah.
So like, it could be like on the fritz because they're just like they're sailing, so it could just keep changing.
Flight 19. Sorry, I had to make sure that was correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, it's true. It's pretty wild.
But I was reading there was a guy. Did you get anything on Cush? Larry Cush?
No.
Oh. Well, he wrote the book Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved in 1975.
Wow.
He was like a big skeptic of all of this.
With,
Okay.
with a name like Kush, you gotta be.
But yeah, I have like a bunch of like points that he addresses in his book. I'm gonna read them.
Okay.
But he says the number of ships and aircraft reported missing in the area was not significantly greater, proportionally speaking, than in any other part of the ocean.
Huh.
But for like people like to latch on, like Bermuda Triangle, like that's a name. Like,
Yeah.
people like to latch on.
Yeah.
But and then he said in an area frequented by tropical cyclones, the number of disappearances that did occur were for the most part neither proportionate nor mysterious. So he said they're pretty much just like there's cyclones over there. Like, yeah, it's gonna happen.
Oh, so he's saying that there's not a record.
Yeah, because I mean it's right off the
amount.
coast of Miami and everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a pretty tropical climate.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Makes sense.
So there's nothing unusual about the Bermuda Triangle. Is
Yeah.
what he's saying.
That's what he's saying. That's what this
So
whole
what
book
about
is
the giant whirlpool?
Yeah, photos. We have photos.
What about the giant mean eyes of it on the map?
But he said a bunch of the writers that we talked about would fail to mention the storms in like the accounts, or like let's see.
Oh yeah, I forgot to include this. The Flight 19 thing.
Yeah.
What probably happened with that search ship? It probably got caught in a storm because as it got darker, the weather started turning worse. So and they were up there for like 3 hours. You know.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
the weather just kept getting worse while they were up there.
Yeah. But like I was saying, it says their accounts fail to mention like storms or like saying that anything happened. They said it took place in like calm seas. And they just like they have records that like contradict
Yeah.
them saying that. And then
So they're fudging the facts a little
yeah,
bit.
exactly. And that's another point. He said a lot of them are just like exaggerated because of sloppy research.
It's like when people are like, I'm afraid to go in the ocean. There's sharks out there.
Yeah,
And
they
then
would. Yeah.
It's like, well, actually, if you think about it, you have more chances of being killed by hitting on the head with a coconut than a shark killing you.
Yeah.
We don't even have coconuts in America.
All right.
What about Hawaii, dude? That is America.
There's nothing but sharks down there.
Yeah. Okay.
But he said in a lot of those accounts, like boats ended up turning up, but they just don't account for it. Like they don't talk about it.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Weird.
And then
Playing
yeah, and he
fast
said a
and
lot of them
loose.
were just fabricated.
Really?
was saying,
Really?
yeah.
Just made
That's
up.
what-
There
Straight
wasn't
up.
even a guy called Christopher Columbus. It was Christopher Columbo.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all his book's about, is just like debunking all that. But I found another thing. There was a study done in 2013 by the Worldwide Fund for Nature that identified the world's 10 most dangerous waters, and there was no Bermuda Triangle.
Huh.
They were paid off by
By the-
Skeletor.
By the Atlanteans. Yeah.
Oh no!
So I mean, it's all just like a bunch of hearsay, you know?
I mean, one guy came up with a really cool name, and it was a coincidence that some ships went missing. And I think I even read an article where he would take certain areas nearby and count that as the Bermuda Triangle.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they were just like.
Even though it was like, no, that wasn't even in the radius, and that was like a freak something happened. They're like, it's close enough. And then be like, well, what about this one here? It's like, no, like, that one's not convenient. The 3 ships that passed over and did not crash at the whole time, that didn't happen. That happened in the seas off to the side.
Yeah, exactly. And once that stuff catches on, like nobody's gonna want to report about a ship going missing in like the Arctic. They're just gonna want to focus on the Bermuda.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sell papers.
It's true, dude. But is that it? Is that all we got?
That's all I got.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of... I mean, the Bermuda Triangle, everyone thinks of it as a kid. You think the Bermuda Triangle. That's one day I, too, will face the horrors of the Bermuda Triangle.
Never even been close. I've never been to Florida.
That's what adulthood is. It's doing that, doing taxes, and sometimes having to, like, fight the IRS in a hand-to-hand combat, because that happens in the cartoons. But... you find out, you're like, oh, it's a catchy name coined by a guy. You know, some things have happened there, but they happen all over the world because the ocean is huge and all kinds of crazy stuff happens. It's not just contained to one singular triangle area with a big mean face on it and a skull and crossbones. And then I think that's about it. It's
Yeah,
a
that's
fun
all I got.
concept. It's
Yeah.
not you don't have to worry about it because it's not as evil as everyone says. It's just misunderstood. But look out for the 12 vile vortexes coming soon to Super Nintendo near you.
It's not misunderstood, my friend. It's grossly exaggerated.
Oh no! It's grade school all over again.
Well, if I want to find you online, Alex, where can I go?
If you want to find me on Instagram and Twitter, my name is Alex Daikaiju. Alex Daikaiju. And what about you, fella?
You can find me on Instagram at Myers Steffen. That's MYERSSTEFFEN.
What
That's
about
all
you?
I got.
Whoa. One man with one social media account? Can you picture? And what about you, good sir?
My name is Eli Watson, and you can find me at the Eli Watson on both Instagram and Twitter. And I also run the Cryptid Campfire Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I also run the website. So the social medias are at Cryptid Campfire. And we also have our official website, cryptidcampfire.com.
Or you can get your official
Official
Cryptid Campfire t-shirt.
And we also have our official Cryptid Campfire Patreon page where we put out exclusive episodes at least twice a month. And
Yeah, so if you want more cryptid content, subscribe to the Patreon. We'd welcome you to the campfire.
exactly. And I think that's about it, so I'm going to sign off now.
Adios.
Yeah, bye.